What's your company culture? A lot of startups these days are asking that question of how should I build my culture and what are the ingredients of a good culture? And for me, I would distill culture into three distinct pillars. One is all about people, two, all about values, three, about communication. Please understand that people, values, communication in that order. And communication is the one that binds people as well as the values. Now let's look into each and every one of them. When we talk about the people, it is no coincidence that all the companies want to bring in the best of the talent that they have and that is available for them is simply because without great minds, there is nothing that we can achieve. A single person cannot build a company and run it all and then scale it. So while that is a baseline, what is very important for the early stage founders is to really make sure that we bring in the right people and then keep continuing to build those right people. And now let's move on to the second topic, which is the values. A lot of companies these days, they have the values on their website. They keep talking about, oh, these are 5, 10, 15 values that we have, which is great. But ultimately, if I'm an individual, for me, it boils down to one thing. Am I able to associate this value to myself? And can I live by these values? That's really what is super important for us. For example, I love dealing with complex problems, making it simpler, and then deal with the simplistic problems, make the progress, and then ultimately solve the big problem. That's really my value and how I want to deal with my life. So once you define that value, it is very simple and easy to bring in the right people, because at the end of the day, either these people are with you on those values aligned or not. So that's really where think of values as the ones that everybody respects and they live by. So that's really about the values. The third pillar for a good culture is about communication. As you can imagine, communication is the one that binds people and the values, and in a literal sense. At the end of the day, as a leader of the company, it's your job to constantly communicate, be transparent, let users know and leadership know what's happening. And that really starts with the communication or the email, your whether Zoom, in-person talks, whatever that is. By no means there is nothing like a more communication, the more the better it is, and it only imprints on the leadership principles on what and how you want to communicate with your team. The same way, employees also have a big part in the communication, because if they are not feeling some things are going well for them or for the company, then they should be able to take back the feedback to the leadership team. And that's exactly where sometimes we look into these cultures and say, oh, you know what, it is a top-down approach. And somebody decides at the top and then it comes all the way to the employees. But at the same time, it is really important to be able to bring in the feedback from bottom up as well, because while the vision and mission can be defined by the leadership team, but everything that is going with the activities, the goals also come from the employees all the way to the top. So as long as we have an open communication from top down and then bottom up, that's really where the communication becomes really important to not only respect the values, but live by values, right? And ultimately what happens is, if the communication is not happening properly, then the trust is broken. And then once the trust is broken, the culture becomes caustic and then ultimately deemed as a bad culture, right? So that's really about the culture. And please remember that a good culture is all about what you give to the company and then what you take out of it.